Hi everyone, this is going to be a review that is a long time in coming for me and is an important deck to review. It is my review of the Guide to the Fairy Ring Oracle written by Anna Franklin, illustrated by Paul Mason. So the reason why I haven't done a review for this Oracle deck yet, and I seem to be doing a lot of Oracle deck reviews lately, I am going to be doing some tarot reviews. It's just a matter of time, and with tarot I could go on and on and on, so I have to really kind of edit myself, and it takes longer than my Oracle deck reviews. So back to the subject. As you can see, I'm avoiding talking about this deck because it's just an interesting deck in my life. So I purchased this deck because I am a YouTube subscriber to Pagan Perspective. I love that channel, and one of the women on the channel ended up saying that she does a daily draw with this deck and that she really loves doing a daily draw with this deck, and it's one of the ways that she, is daily working with her spirituality. So I ended up purchasing it because of that, and it was on sale at Amazon. And even on sale, it was still, I think, almost 20 bucks. And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to do it anyhow because I really, I was listening to what she had to say and thought it would be worth it. So when I went to purchase it, this was the picture of the card that I saw on Amazon. And I thought, oh, those are pretty cool. Not my usual deck, but that's still something I can get into and enjoy. Then I got home and I opened it up and I saw the type of photography and photo manipulation that this deck is comprised of. And I was like, oh my God, I hate this artwork so much. I mean, and I'm not saying I dislike, I hate the artwork in this deck. I can't stand it for the most part. Like this, like what is that? That just, and this. I just didn't understand it, and it didn't do anything for me. And like this, like what is this fake plastic Barbie doll thing? I don't know what that is. This is an honest review. And then the puka, and I draw this guy every time I work with this deck. So, and again, another fake plastic Barbie doll leg thing. This is supposed to be a Selkie. I was like, this is what you think a Selkie looks like? And I mean, it doesn't look that bad in this awful webcam. When you see it in person, if you have a similar taste in decks like I do, you will be appalled by the artwork in this deck. There's another one. So I didn't really want to use it, this deck. I was like, oh, I just made an awful purchase and, I just don't like it. But I did like the sign of infinity in the back, and I like the Celtic scroll work. So I put the deck aside because, being a tarot collector, I had purchased other decks and I was excited to work with those. But then I started reading the book, the Guide to the Fairy Ring book that accompanies the deck. Let me tell you that the book excited me at the beginning anyhow, because look how thick it is. I love when you get an Oracle or a tarot deck set, and the book is like this. It's large and it's thick and it's well researched, and the people have obviously put a lot of love and energy into the deck. That just really gets me excited, and I know that I'm going to learn a lot and that it's going to be a good deck. And I have to say, if you collect Oracle and tarot decks, you are going to have a deck like this in your set, in your collection. I don't like this deck, but I will tell you that this is the deck I use when I need straight answers that I don't want to hear. This deck always gives me the real deal, and it tells it to me straight, and it helps me to get back on track when I'm veering off and going in this direction that's not good for me. It's always the deck that I use whenever something bad is happening or something is going on that I need to figure out how to realign my energies to change. And it's also a deck that I have not to this point used with anyone else because it's that powerful. I feel like this deck is like my medicine deck that's reserved for when I need the tough medicine of Coyote Woman. And that is how powerful this deck is. Like, I feel this almost hatred for the artwork, but at the same time, the deck is so amazing that I'm compelled to use this deck. Hold on one second. Sorry, my screen just disappeared. There we go. I know that you saw me the whole time, but it popped up and disappeared. So, so I have to say that I recommend this deck. And it is not based on the artwork at all. It is totally based on the power of the research that went into this book. I mean, this is amazing. Like, and I could just keep going on and on. I'll show you. And also, the spreads that they created are very powerful as well. I use the Fairy Ring spread for querents all the time when they come to me. And they just want to know what's going on in my life right now. Why am I going through what I'm going through? So let me just show you. And there are 4 quartz and then the seasonal holidays in this deck. And hold on, I have to see how many cards it is because it's one of those things where I'm actually not sure how many cards. It's a larger oracle set anyhow. It's just how weird this deck is with me. I'm not my usual Taurus self. Okay, so first of all, you get a black and white picture of the card that's pretty large. Then it says the card, and it tells you about the symbolism and images used in the card. Then it tells you about, and this is my favorite part, it tells you about the fairy itself that's attached to the card. So they're actual real fairies found in folklore and mythology that are in this deck, and I think that's why it's so powerful. Not to negate the fairy decks that have fairies that have appeared to one of the authors of the deck, because I have several of those decks that are very powerful and that I love using. But these are fairies that are found in folklore, and they actually give you the history of the fairy. Then after that, and it's quite lengthy and it's a really great read, like please take the time to read them, you will love it. Then they give you the divinatory meaning. They give you the reversed meaning, so this deck does use reversals. And then they tell you how to work with the energy. So like the first deck in the Spring Court is Ariel, and it says working with the sylph. Now the card that shows up for me, and I'm going to find it right now. Oh, where did the puka go? He's gone. The puka shows up for me almost every time I do a reading with this deck. Here he is. He's the Knave of the Autumn Court. And the backing tells you about which court it's in. It's very clear about that. There's no confusion there. But it's not recommended that you work with a puka, and they explain why. However, to me, that's a personal choice that you can make, especially if you choose not to view any energy as negative or positive, but as, you know, halves to the same whole and both necessary. But anyhow, they'll explain to you different meditations and magical workings that you can do with the fairies. So this deck is some pretty deep magic, and it's some pretty deep fairy work. If you really love working with fairies, and I do, then I definitely recommend purchasing this deck. Just be aware that you might not like the artwork at all. You might actually have a very visceral reaction to the artwork itself. As I said at the beginning, I still have a visceral reaction to the artwork. But I literally can't stop using this deck, especially when there's difficult things going on and I really need straight answers. And that's why it's taken me so long to review this deck, because it's just so hard for me to make any sense when I talk about this deck. And I think that's why I really just use it for myself, because it's magic that's intensely personal and very powerful. So I hope that this review helps someone out there who is interested in purchasing this deck. And if you have this deck and you have a similar reaction to it that I do, please share that with me and let me know. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So I will see you guys in the next video.